Let- Let's finish this off. We just left with question 7 and question 8. Let us quickly do question 7. Question 7 is all about financial mathematics. 7.1. Now we have two formulas for calculating the accumulated amount and for calculating simple interest. 7.1 says, what will your bank balance be if you have 5,000 in your bank account and then they say we must use the original balance to answer each question. So we have 7.1.1. So if you deposit 15,000 and in your bank account you already had 5,000, how much would you have in your bank account? So what we know is that we already have 5,000, right? And we are depositing. What does the deposit do to the balance in your bank account? It increases the balance in your bank account because you will have more money. When you deposit me, it means that you put in more money into your bank account. Already you had 5,000. When you add 15,000 to 5,000, your balance will go up to 20,000, which is 5,000 plus 15,000. Now, we still have that 5,000. 7.1.2 asks us, what if we increase it by 10% and later withdraw 2,500? Remember, you always use the original balance, which is the 5,000. To increase it by 10%, you will add 10% of 5,000. And then to withdraw 2,500, it means you're reducing what you already have in your bank account. From this, you will subtract 2,500. Putting this into your calculator, I'll start with the 5,000 plus the 5% of 5,000, which is 500. I mean, 10% of 5,000, which is 500. That'll give us 5,500 minus 2.5. It'll give us 3,000. So that is the balance we will have. And we are done with that question. It only had 7.1.1 and 7.1.2. And 7.2, which is a different question altogether. It says Garabo has 4,000 peaches to harvest in 2019. Every year, the number increases by 10% of the initial harvest of 4,000 peaches. So our initial harvest is 4,000 peaches. How long will it take for Garabo to harvest double the number of initial harvest? So our initial harvest was 4,000, which is P. We want this to increase by 10%. Because it's 10% of the initial harvest, it means that we are using simple interest formula, which is this formula here, where A is the accumulated amount and P is the initial amount. We are being told that the accumulated amount will be twice the initial amount, and the initial amount is just 4,000, which is P. I is 10%. And they want us to determine how long will it take for Garabo to harvest double the number of initial harvest. So we don't have N, which represents the number or the period. We don't have it. I will start with A. 4,000 multiplied by 2 will give you 8,000, and then I will multiply out the bracket. 4,000 times 1, 4,000 times 10%, it'll give us 400N. Transpose this 4,000, take it to the left, it'll be 4,000 still. Then divide both sides by 400 to solve for n. Therefore, you will get n as 10. So it'll take Garabo 10 years to double the initial harvest. That's it for 7.2. Let us move to 7.3. Tando purchased music equipment for 3,500,000 from Pioneer. He paid 25% deposit. According to the agreement, Sia will have to pay the remainder of over 10 years. The applicable interest rate is 15% per annum. First question, which is 7.3.1, says, how much will Tando owe at the inception after paying the deposit? At the inception, it will be when Tando took this loan. Okay, so it's not really a loan as such. It's Tando buying equipment on credit and paying whatever she will be owing over a 10-year period. However, the cost of this equipment was 3.5 million, and Tando paid 25% deposit, meaning that Tando doesn't owe the full 3.5 million. Tando will only owe 75% of the 3.5 million. So you can simply say 3.5 million multiplied by 75%. How did I get the 75%? It is simply 100 minus the 25%. 100% minus the 25% will give you 75%. That's how much Tando will be owing. Another way of getting this is by taking that 3.5 and then minusing the deposit, which will be the 3.5 million times 25%. So you're saying the original amount, which was 3.5 minus the deposit, which is 25% of 3.5 million. And you will still get that 2,625,000, which is what Tando will owe at the beginning of this transaction. 3.2, you need to calculate the amount that Tando will owe after 10 years if Tando did not make any repayments towards the loan. Now, you needed to find the value of A using simple interest. For hire purchase agreement, we use simple interest formula to get the accumulated amount. Now, to get the accumulated amount, you'll have A is equals to P into 1 plus I times N, where P is what Tando owes at the inception of the transaction or at the beginning of the transaction, which is that 2,625,000. The interest rate was also given to you as 15%. So this amount that is outstanding will attract interest of 15% simple interest. Okay. That's why we are using simple interest formula. And the loan period is 10 years. Where there is N, you will just substitute 10 years. Put this into your calculator. $2,625,000 into 1 plus 15% multiplied by 10, and then you close bracket, hit the equal sign button. That's how much Tando will owe after 10 years. Okay, so Tando will owe 6 million 600 and okay, clearly what I calculated and what the calculator is giving me are two different answers. Let me just confirm. Oh, I've got 500 there. 625,000. Hey, so it does give me that 6,562,500. And this is how much Tanda will owe after 10 years towards this hire purchased loan agreement. And now 7.3.3 says, in total, how much will Tanda owe after the 10-year period, provided that there were no repayments toward the outstanding loan? Now, for me to determine, meaning that whatever we calculated as accumulated amount will not change, as Tanda will not be paying this over 10 years. So we want to know at the end of 10 years, how much will Tando be owing if there was no repayment? Note that we're talking about the loan amount, not the total 3.5 million. The loan amount, how long will it, well, it'll take us to repay it. It'll take us 10 years to repay it, but we want how much it will be if after paying the deposit, we never made any other repayment towards the loan. Now, for this one, you will need to use the formula, which is this formula over here. And just like I've done in the previous question, you will still do the same thing here, where P is the initial amount that Tando is owing, which is 2,625,000. You multiply it by 15%, and then you multiply it by 10. It'll give you that 6,562,500. All right, I just wanted to show you that um, they can rephrase it differently. So you will notice that 7.3.2 and 7.3.3 are pretty similar, but they are phrased differently, but they want you to calculate the same amount, okay? That's what I wanted to expose you to. Let's move to a totally different question, which is 7.3.4. Here they want us to calculate the monthly repayments that Tando must pay over a period of 10 years. To calculate the monthly repayments, you will have to use this formula. Your repayments will be A divided by N times 12. A is the accumulated amount of the loan, N is the loan period. So the accumulated amount of the loan, we said it was 6,652,500. N is the loan period, which is 10 years. Now calculating this, it'll give you monthly repayments of 54,687.5. The next question, which is 7.3.5, Tando is required to pay 1,500 per annum, highlight per annum, for insurance. How much will Tando's monthly repayments, including insurance? How much will be Tando's monthly repayments, including insurance? So we know the monthly repayments at the moment amount to 54,687.5. We are Tando will be required to pay 1,500 as insurance, and that will be per annum. Per annum means it's per year. To get a monthly rate of your insurance, you will take that 1,500 and divide it by 12 because it's for 1 year. Not for 10 years, for 1 year. That's why we just divide it by 12. And this will give you 54,812.5 as your monthly repayment. All right, this will be the finance part. And let's get to the last question, which is equations. Remember to do it on your own first before watching the next video. That's how you learn. Do it on your own first. If I'm moving too fast, just pause and write the question down. And then press play to move to the next one. And this will be the last revision question for this year. All right, check out the next video for this final part, to the solution to this final part. Remember to share, like, and subscribe. And don't forget not to skip the ads. I greatly appreciate you watching the channel. Thank you. Kgotso.